Welcome to XO, where science meets heart at the kitchen table. I'm your host, Davey. In each episode, I narrate B-side tracks curated around a single theme: the why behind the ingredients, the swaps that make it better, and the stories that have been simmering for generations. No interviews, no guests, just me and you. This is EP18, The Reflection. Before we get into it, the friendships that hold us up, the attention we give away, the things we do for others that quietly rebuild ourselves. I need to tell you what this episode is really about. It's not about self-improvement. It's about who you become when you stop performing and start showing up. Because once you understand what it means to be a friend the way Jimmy Kimmel described Cleto, 47 years, zero competition, permission to just feel, you start measuring your own relationships differently. Once you realize that giving joy is how you get there, that the motion creates the emotion and not the other way around, you stop waiting for someone else to hand you what you want. Once you decide what you're willing to consume and what you're not, you get something back that you didn't know you'd lost. And once you understand that none of us is the source of the light, just a fragment of a mirror reflecting what we have into the spaces around us, everything gets simpler. 4 tracks, 1 beam, let's shine. Track 1, The Brightest Stars. I fell asleep on the couch watching YouTube. That happens a lot at the end of my day. When I woke up, I was slowly figuring out what time it was, and the video of Jimmy Kimmel's monologue was just starting. I had heard that his bandleader had passed away, but I didn't know anything else. So I stayed there, wide awake now, and watched. For 20 minutes, Jimmy told stories about Cleto. Some funny, some embarrassing, some so personal you felt like maybe you shouldn't be watching. But you couldn't look away. Because what Jimmy was really showing us wasn't just grief. He was crying. His voice kept cracking. He had to stop mid-sentence sometimes because the weight of what he was saying was too much. And he didn't apologize for any of it. He was showing us emotional honesty between men. The kind where you don't perform strength or keep it together for the cameras. The kind where 47 years of friendship gives you permission to just feel. And with Friendsgiving coming up that week, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Friendsgiving is usually framed as the fun Thanksgiving. Less pressure, more casual, better wine, friends instead of family drama. But after watching Jimmy, I think we've been looking at it wrong. Friendsgiving isn't just about gathering with people you like better than your relatives. It's about honoring the friendships where you can actually be yourself, where you don't have to manage how you come across or edit what you say. The friends who know the real you, not the polished version. Jimmy and Cleto met when they were kids on the same Las Vegas block. They became inseparable. They grew up together, worked together, built their families side by side. And when Cleto died, Jimmy didn't just lose a bandleader or a coworker. He lost the person who had been at his side for 47 years. The person who knew him before he was Jimmy Kimmel. The person who never once felt jealous when their roles reversed and Jimmy became the star. That's the kind of bond worth celebrating. So what creates that kind of friendship? Time matters. But not just time passing. Time spent, time invested, time showing up even when it's ordinary. Not just the highlight reel moments, but the Tuesday nights that turn into decades. Being seen matters. Having someone who gets your weird sense of humor, knows why you do the things you do, and doesn't try to change you into someone easier to understand. Zero competition matters. When roles shift and life changes and success looks different for each of you, there's no resentment, no jealousy, just genuine pride in each other's wins. That's rare, especially between men. Vulnerability matters. The willingness to look foolish, admit when you're wrong, cry when it hurts, no performance required. Deep friendships aren't built on perfection. They're built on showing up as you are, messy, flawed, real, and being met with acceptance instead of judgment. This Friendsgiving, think about the friends who've given you permission to be real, the ones who show up, who know you well enough that you don't have to explain everything, who you can call at 2 a.m. or not talk to for 3 months, and it doesn't matter. You just pick up where you left off. Friendsgiving doesn't have to be the end of November. Maybe it's a text on a random Tuesday. Maybe it's showing up when things get hard. Maybe it's reaching out for no reason at all, just because you thought of them. Because life is short and fragile, and we don't get unlimited time. Like Jimmy said, cherish your friends. We're not here forever. Don't wait for a holiday. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't assume they already know. For the brightest stars in your universe, the ones who light up your ordinary days, let them know how glad you are to live in a world where they exist. The friendships that matter most are the ones where you show up without keeping score. But showing up isn't just about being there when it's easy. Sometimes it starts with deciding what you want, and then going first. Track 2. Do what you want. I said, if you want joy, give joy. She looked at me like I'd handed her a riddle instead of advice. And I get it. When you're the one running on empty, the last thing that makes sense is to pour into someone else. It feels backwards. Mechanical. Like smiling when you don't feel like smiling. But I meant it. Not as a performance, as a practice. Go make someone laugh. Bring flowers to a neighbor for no reason. Call your friend and ask about her week. Not because you want to talk about yours, but because you're genuinely curious about hers. Do joyful things. Put joy into the room. And somewhere in the doing, the feeling catches up. It doesn't happen the first time. Maybe not the second. But there comes a moment, and it sneaks up on you, where you realize you're no longer manufacturing joy. You're in it. The doing became the being. And you didn't have to wait for it to arrive from somewhere else. You built it with your own hands. This works everywhere, not just with joy. If you want friendship, give friendship. Be the one who reaches out. Be the one who remembers. Be the one who shows up without being asked and without keeping score. You don't wait for someone to befriend you. You become the friend you're looking for. If you want generosity, be generous. If you want patience, offer it first. If you want someone to listen to you, really listen. Start by listening to someone else the way you wish they'd listen to you. It sounds circular, and maybe it is. But the circle works, because what you give freely is what you understand most deeply. And the people around you feel the difference between someone who's keeping a ledger and someone who's just showing up with open hands. There's a quieter version of this that nobody talks about. People tell you what they want by what they give, not with words, with actions. If someone holds your hand in the car, it's a good indication they want their hand held in the car. If someone writes you a long message on your birthday, they probably wish someone would do the same for them. If someone always asks how your day was, really asks, not just fills the silence. That's them telling you what they need without ever saying it. The friend who always brings food to your house wants someone to bring food to theirs. The person who texts you first thing in the morning is telling you that early morning texts mean something to them. The one who remembers the details, your kid's name, your surgery date, that thing you mentioned 3 weeks ago, is hoping someone will remember theirs. We spend a lot of time guessing what the people around us want, but most of the time, they're already showing us. We just have to pay attention to what they do, not what they say. The way someone loves you is usually the way they want to be loved. The way someone shows up for you is the way they're hoping you'll show up for them. It's not a mystery. It's a mirror. That's the thing about doing what you want. It doesn't ask you to fake it. It asks you to act first and let the feeling follow. To trust that the motion creates the emotion, not the other way around. If you want joy, give joy. If you want connection, connect. If you want someone to hold your hand, hold theirs first. Do what you want. The rest figures itself out. You can't pour from an empty vessel. And sometimes the most radical act of generosity is deciding what you're no longer willing to give your attention to. Track 3, Unplugged. I stopped watching the news. It was Election Day 2024. I remember standing in the kitchen, phone face down on the counter, thinking, I cannot do this anymore. Not the election. The everything. The constant intake of things I couldn't affect. The the scroll, the refresh, the low-grade hum of urgency that had just become the background noise of being alive. I'd been carrying it for years without noticing how heavy it was. That day, I made a decision. No news websites, no news podcasts, no news radio. I kept CBS Sports. I kept Splendid Table. I kept classical music, food, home, sports. That was the new perimeter. HGTV and Food Network replaced cable news as background. I spent that time building recipes, learning the science behind ingredients, building remixology. The hardest part wasn't the news itself. It was my fingers. After Wordle each morning, they'd automatically start typing URLs I'd visited for years. Pure muscle memory. I didn't even realize I was doing it until I was already there. It took about 5 days for that reflex to die. And then, nothing. I stopped thinking about it entirely. A year later, I can tell you exactly what I didn't know was happening. The vote counts from that election. Destructive fires a few hours from home. The ongoing weight of conflicts halfway around the world. A conclave. Cardinals. White smoke. Then black. Then white again. I found out we'd turned the clocks back last fall at a dinner table, like it was old news, because for everyone else it was. I nodded. Adjusted. Moved on. My head is lighter. That's the simplest way to say it. More peaceful. More present. More intentional about where my attention goes, and more aware of how much attention I was giving away before, for free, to things that gave nothing back. I spend that energy differently now. Friends, family, something to look forward to, something I'm building that might actually help someone else. Occasionally, someone asks why I'm so quiet about what's going on. I'm just observing, I tell them, taking the whole thing in. The truth is, I'm just not consuming it. There's a difference, and it took stepping away to feel it. November 5th, 2025, 1 year. I made my goal, and I'm not going back. The news will always be there, spinning, urgent, insisting it needs your attention right now, just this once, just for a second. That machine doesn't stop, but my life is here, right here, in this kitchen, on this mountain, with the people I love and the work I care about. I chose this on purpose, every day since. Whatever you water grows. Once you decide what deserves your attention, something opens up. A little more space, a little more light. And what you do with that light, that's the whole question. Track 4, Shine Light. Sunday nights in Palm Springs, they roll up the sidewalks early. I owned a dessert restaurant called Crave. My answer to the question, where do people go after dinner to keep the night going? We were open Wednesday through Sunday evenings. 15 items, individual desserts, coffee, blooming teas, and wine. While most restaurants treated dessert as an afterthought, we made it the main event. Sunday nights were different from the rest of the week. The weekenders had packed up and headed home, leaving behind the locals and the extended stayers. The energy shifted, from tourist buzz to something quieter, more intimate. Real conversation. On this particular Sunday, 4 late 20-somethings sat at the front table. Clearly smart, clearly engaged with life. I approached after they'd finished their desserts. Would you like anything else? One of them looked up. Yeah, she said. What is existentialism? Why are we here? 7 words came out of my mouth without a pause, to shine light in a dark space. They were stunned by how quickly I answered, but the response felt inevitable, like it had been waiting inside me for exactly that moment. A few years before that night, I'd read a story that never left me. Robert Fulghum, in It Was on Fire When I Lay Down on It, tells of a young boy in a remote village who found fragments of a broken mirror scattered where a German motorcycle had crashed. Unable to reassemble the pieces, he kept the largest fragment and ground it smooth against a stone until it was perfectly round. Then he started playing with it, bouncing sunlight into shadowy corners, into hidden spaces that natural light couldn't reach. As the boy grew into a man, he understood what he'd been doing all along. He wasn't the source of the light. He was a reflector, and his job, our job, was to direct whatever light we had access to into the dark spaces of the world. He said he was a fragment of a mirror whose whole design and shape he could not know. But with what he had, he could reflect light into the dark places and change some things in some people. That story simplified my life. We are all fragments of something bigger. We don't get to see the whole design, but shining light isn't seasonal work. It's not something you do around the holidays when the shadows feel more obvious. It's the door you hold for the person behind you, the bottled water in your trunk, the moment you stop and actually listen when someone tells you their story, the dessert restaurant you open because you believe people deserve somewhere to land at the end of a good night. However you access light, whatever that means in your life, your faith, your practice, the job stays the same. Reflect it into the dark spaces, into the people around you. We're all broken mirror fragments. We can't see the complete design, but with what we have right now, we can make a difference. In some small way, I want to think those 7 words planted a seed that's still growing in how 4 people move through the world. Every day is another chance to reflect. How will you shine today? That's EP18, The Reflection. 4 tracks, 1 beam. The friendships that give you permission to be real and to feel it when you lose them. The simple truth that the thing you want to receive is the thing you have to give first. The decision to stop watering what doesn't grow you so you have something left to offer. And the 7 words that have been waiting inside you for exactly the right moment to shine light in a dark space. We are all fragments of a mirror. We don't get to see the whole design, but we get to choose where we point the light. Here's to health, happiness, and a remix that's uniquely yours. Thank you for spending time with me. Food feeds the body. Music feeds the soul. Remixology is where they collide. Download the Remixology app. New music and recipes drop every Friday.